February 1994. Started a new job. Not the worst job I've ever had, but perhaps the most embarrassing. I was a telemarketer selling magazines. Did it for a year. Uh, Not my favorite job, but I did have fun with the people I worked with for the most part. Um, but I was one of those obnoxious people that called people and tried to get to buy magazines. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. The job was in Westlake, Ohio, across the street from where a brand new bookstore called Borders was opening, and I remember I was there on opening day when they had the Flying Elvises come in as part of their celebration. Unfortunately, that Borders is gone. I loved that bookstore, but it's gone now, and I have to go to Barnes and Noble. But anyway, little history for February 1994, but you're here for the books, so let's get to it. Book number one in February 1994 was Son of Fletch by Gregory MacDonald, and this, I love the Fletch books. This introduces the Son of Fletch. The son Fletch didn't know he had. I really like what goes on here. I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to spoil it. Basically, Fletch finds out that there's 4 escaped convicts, and one of them shows up at his house, turns out to be his son, and they go off after the other 3, and there's a whole spoilery thing that I'm not going to talk about, but really good. I like this one a lot. There are 2 books that feature Fletch's son, and this is the one. I prefer this one. The other one's good too, but really, really like this. Son of Fletch. Next up, McNally's Caper by Lawrence Sanders. This is another book with Archie McNally in South Florida. I don't know, the super rich part of Florida. Wherever that is. But anyway, so Archie McNally is hired to figure out who is stealing the Forsyth family jewels, while all of the Forsyth women are just throwing themselves at him. It's a lighthearted mystery from Lawrence Sanders. I liked the series. It was good stuff. Then, book number 3, Star Trek Memories by William Shatner and Chris Kresge. And this is what it sounds like. William Shatner talking about making Star Trek, the entire series, some of the movies, whatever had come out up to this point. According to the little quick synopsis I read before doing this video, he goes over like every episode of the series. It's just tons of behind the scenes stuff. And he talks about some of the movies, as I said. If you're a Star Trek fan, I think this is something that's going to be pretty interesting. Then we have The Judas Goat by Robert B. Parker, Spencer novel. I've talked about this one before. Spencer is sent after these 9 terrorists who blew up his clients. Does it say his clients? Wife and kids, or blew them away. And Spencer and Hawk are going to turn one of them into a Judas goat to lead them to all the others. It's Spencer. It's good stuff. And it's a little different than your typical Spencer. He's outside Boston again. So it's kind of that fish out of water. Love the Spencer books. Let's see. Where are we? All right. We're on book number 5 already. The Return of Swamp Thing by Peter David, and this is simply a novelization of the movie The Return of Swamp Thing. I want to say Wes Craven directed the original Swamp Thing movie. I don't think he did the second one. But it's not quite as good as the first one, but I don't think it's unwatchable. Peter David's a great author, and this is, as I said, his novelization. There's not much to say. It's a Swamp Thing novel. Then we have Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. This is, some might call it a comic book. or graphic novel. Uh, if you've watched like every one of these videos that I've ever done, earlier on the list was Watchmen, and I said at that time that that's the only comic book slash graphic novel thing that I had on the list, and I kind of regret putting it on there. So some might argue that this is also that, but I didn't count it as such. Basically, it is again what it says it is, understanding comics. There's some history, there's some sort of how comics are put together, artistically speaking, but the chunk of it is um, how to read them, how to understand them. I've actually heard people say they don't know how to follow along when they're reading a comic. Of course, the best comics, best put together comics, I don't know exactly how to say this, but there should just be a natural line that your eye follows. There are some that are, the panel layouts are so weird they actually have to put arrows to tell you where to go. But a really well done comic, your eye is going to flow naturally to where it needs to be. But this book goes over, as I said, tons of stuff, but gets into, um, where your eye should be. Your caption. You've got this caption up here. Yeah, you want to read that, and then your eye should flow down here to the picture so you can see what's going on, and then move to that, word balloon, and then over to here. Anyway, it's a really interesting book, and as I said, it also goes into history and technique and things. So, if you're interested in comics, how they're made, any behind the scenes stuff, or what it takes to read one, really interesting book. Then we have Journal of the Gun Years by Richard Matheson, another one of his westerns. And this one, the main character is Clay Halser, but it's not his journal. It's actually his companion's journal. And it's one of those things that starts with kind of, I was there when so and so died. Let me tell you the backstory. And then it just gives you, jumps back many, many years to give you the story of Clay Halser. And it's really, it's Richard Matheson, so it's well written, it's interesting, and there's something at the end. I think that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to spoil anything, but really, really good. Then we have, here we go, let me see, pick this up, The Further Adventures of Superman, edited by Martin H. Greenberg. All New Adventures of the Man of Steel. I love that cover of Superman fighting Medusa. This has short stories by Diane Duane, Will Murray, Mark Waid, Mike Resnick, all sorts of people. And again, so many of these covers are just telling you what they are. It's a bunch of Superman short stories, and it's good stuff. Part of the whole Further Adventures of Batman, Wonder Woman, Joker series that came out. I really dig these. Following that, The Drive-In 2 by Joe R. Lansdale. I did not grab, I don't have a copy of just The Drive-In 2. I used to. I now only have, I have the omnibus or whatever you want to call it, the complete drive-in that has all three. But I didn't pull that because it's technically not, The Drive-In 2. I'm trying not to yawn. It's been a long, weird day. So The Drive-In 2, Joe R. Lansdale. In The Drive-In, our main characters are all trapped inside this drive-in where just insanity is happening. It's a crazy, there's the Popcorn King and monsters and all this craziness going on. Well, in The Drive-In 2, our main characters, Jack and Bob, are able to get out of the drive-in. They flee, but they're stuck on this broken highway with more crazy shenanigans going on. I haven't even read the third one yet, so I don't know what the hell's going to happen after this. I need to reread the first two. And I'm just going to throw this out there. Brian Keene, and I think some other people, are putting together, I've mentioned this before, an anthology of the drive-in forget what it's called, but it's going to have just a whole bunch of great authors writing stories set in the drive-in world. I can't wait for that. All right. Then we have, it's the last one that I have a copy of, Early Autumn, Robert B. Parker. If you've watched these videos before, again, if you've watched the whole series, I've mentioned this many times. It's the first Spencer novel I read. It is my favorite Spencer novel. Introduces Paul. Is he going to tell me his name on the back? No. Paul, I can't remember his last name, but it's not your typical just private detective hired to solve something story. Spencer basically is hired to take care of this kid, Paul Gian something Italian. I want to say Paul Giamatti, but that's obviously not it. So Paul's parents are going through a horrible divorce. Spencer's mom hires Spencer to take care of Paul while they're trying to figure things out, and then she suddenly is like, you know what? He can go live with his dad. So Spencer's like, this kid's really messed up. I'm trying to make him into a good person. I got to figure out what's going on. And basically, this one I will spoil because it's not about the mystery. But basically, Spencer finds information so he can blackmail both of Paul's parents into giving Paul a decent life. And I love it. Absolutely love this book. I don't know why I just threw it on the floor. I love it so much. Okay, only two more. Next, the penultimate book, as I like to say, The Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. Translation by Stephen Mitchell. Of course, the title is The Book of the Way. And this is the seminal. Would I be using that word correctly if I said this is the seminal work of Eastern philosophy? I don't know. It just sounds good when I say that. But this is like a cornerstone of Eastern philosophy. It's just Lao Tzu's advice, life advice about balance, and just living a good life, being a good person, trying to make the world a better place, finding balance in ancient Eastern philosophy. I've read it a number of times. It's fantastic stuff. And then finally, the last book for February 1994, Aliens, Tribes by Stephen R. Bissett and Dave Dorman. This is a little special. I don't know if the paperback is the same as the hardback, but this was an alien novel, a prose novel with full color, like 24 full color, fully painted illustrations, full page illustrations. That's where the Dave Dorman comes in. And it's basic. There's an alien on a space station, and people are sent in to take care of it. I think I don't remember much about how well the story is written. I think the real draw is the Dave Dorman illustrations. So if you're an Alien fan, when I looked on Amazon, there are hardbacks available. There are paperbacks available. Pretty sure I had, I don't remember if I had a hardback or a paperback, but I know I had an illustrated copy. So either way, Aliens, Tribes. Check it out. All right, that is it. That's all I read in February 1994. I guess you can tell that being a telemarketer apparently didn't take up much of my time. I got in a nice number of books there. So, once again, you know what? I don't have a question for this video. So, if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. All that YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronin5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is ErikSmith5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. That is all I've got for you this week. So until next week, read more books.